Hello and good afternoon or good morning. I'm here with Dr. Charles Brown, Director 2 of Equity and Access for Riverside County Office of Education, and I'm Dr. Talisa Sullivan. So Dr. Brown, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to talk a little bit about what does equity mean to you. I want to give you this definition really quickly that the National Equity Project gives of equity. They talk about ensuring that equally high outcomes for all participants in our educational system, removing the predictability of success or failures that currently correlates with social or cultural factors, also interrupting inequitable practices and examining biases. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about what equity means to you with in mind the national equity definition as well as a definition that you might give?
Good morning, Dr. Sullivan, and thank you so much for this opportunity. When I look at, I do agree with that definition provided by the National Equity Project, because when I think about equity, again, equity is about giving every student what they need in order for them to grow and blossom and be their best. And so it's something that a site, a teacher, or district, a county should embrace in terms of providing services, giving support, and outlining resources in order to help our scholars to be their best. And so when you talk about equity and providing every student what they need, it needs to be a part of our culture in terms of what we do, in terms of establishing our class rosters, designing lessons, providing supports, creating interventions and acceleration programs in order to help our scholars. And then in terms of it, the things that we do in terms of identifying resources and materials in order to us to help us to do what it is that we've been charged to do. And so many of our scholars don't always know their potential. And so it's important for us to be able to tap into that and help them to see where they can go and bless them, not bless them, but help them in order to do the things that they need to do. I'm just a church boy at heart, forgive me.
That's perfect. Actually, it's perfect. We do need to bless them. But I definitely hear you saying for them to tap into what they know. So it sounds like you're saying from an asset perspective and that we need to really stop thinking of our students from a deficit point of view. So thank you for that. I want to go right into the next question. You know, we gave the definition, we talked about the definition, but what does it really mean to you? What does equity mean specifically to you, Dr. Brown?
I think for me, as a student, I had great teachers that really helped me to embrace learning and to embrace school. And so with that, because of their passion for teaching and their passion for teaching students, I developed a passion for learning and reading, because reading was a struggle for me. But because my teachers loved it, then I loved it because they loved it. And so in terms of that, I think it's important for all educators to, again, see the scholars that they have in front of them and then tailor instruction in order to meet their need and take them beyond that. Because again, when we look at the standards is the floor, it's not the ceiling. And so many times when we look at the standards, teachers are teaching the topics, but not teaching the skill in order to get the topics. And so in terms of it, we need to be able to help our students to be able to learn those skills in order to go where it is that we want them to go. If they're not clear on where it is that they're going, then in terms of it, how do we expect our scholars to get to where they need to go?
Thank you. I hear you saying embrace learning, and it's making me smile because the teachers that are put on that are on campus, they're right with the kids in the trenches. And I'll say that as their passion exudes, our kids' passion exudes, and it makes me think about before I even knew what the word equity meant or what it was. I think back to a student that I had years ago, and I just kind of want to tell this story. On our first encounter, and this is what I think of equity. I know that there's a racial underlining, and we definitely don't want to lose track of that. We don't want to lose the idea that out in our society and in our system, that race is a huge factor that deters us from being equitable and having equitable practices. But I think about this student, and on our first encounter, this student was a sophomore, and I had identified as a male. But by the time that we had become better acquainted, this student was trying out as a junior on a cheer team as a girl for a team that I coached. And so senior year came around, and the student is now running for Winter Formal Queen and won Winter Formal Queen as a girl. And I just reflect back to an adult encounter that we had. Is now she's an adult, and she remembers that I stood with her as she challenged the system, and we challenged the system for her to be able to identify with how she felt. And so I just wanted to kind of throw that in as well. So thank you, Dr. Brown, for your insight on what equity means to you. Is a really important factor in our society today.